Where's this from? Well, most of you probably already guessed that, but for those that don't know, that is the iconic opening chord progression to Michael Jackson's Thriller. Just a song that has stood the test of time and has garnered numerous awards and accolades. It's just iconic. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dominic, also known as Tick to the Talk. And in this video, we're going to look at that very sound and break it down and see how it was created and how you could even get access to that sound and use it in your own productions. So let's talk about the actual sound that's being used here. It's actually a stack of multiple layered synthesizers. It's not just one that makes up this huge and fat, energetic sound. The synths that make up this sound include a Jupiter 8, a Prophet 5, and a Synth. Now, these are old school synthesizers, and back then they just didn't have presets. So to create unique and usable sounds, someone had to program them and sound design the different textures. Well, on the Thriller album, that person that programmed all of the synthesizers was Anthony Marinelli, and he is one of my synth heroes. I mean, he knows his synths in and out, and he programmed all the sounds for the Thriller album, as well as countless other sounds you've heard on different pop records. So how does a person like me get access to those same sounds? Because keep in mind, owning any of those synths back then is going to be pretty expensive, and I just don't have that kind of money, Well, that's where EastWest steps in, and he partnered with Anthony Marinelli to record his entire library of synthesizers, and Anthony even programmed a lot of the sounds for the library. And so now everyone can have access to these iconic sounds that have been used on these records. So here is EastWest's iconic virtual instrument. It's a collection of high quality vintage sounds from the most popular records of the last few decades. When this instrument was announced, I got super excited to get my hands on it because I'm just a lover of old school sounds and also recreating a lot of those sounds that I've heard on popular records. So I immediately went to download Iconic from the EastWest Installation Center. Now, I've been an EastWest user for well over a decade because they just have some of the best sounding libraries, and they are always ahead of the game, presenting the best and most innovative libraries available. I remember using EastWest sounds on a video game project like well over a decade ago, and they were not cheap at all. I mean, it was a real investment, and I just couldn't afford everything, so I only got what I needed. But now they have the EastWest Composer Cloud Plus, which makes it easy to access all of their library, and it's a lot easier on my pockets, to be frank. So I've told you about this sound that was used on Thriller, programmed by Anthony Marinelli between 3 different synths, the Jupiter 8, the Prophet 5, and the Synth. So I think it's time we make some music, and I'm gonna just make a beat using this very sound and some of the other sounds out of Iconic. So let's just do it. Okay, so here's the Iconic interface. You see it's dark GUI here, and then to the left of that, you see a bunch of different sounds. Now, we talked about how this particular sound from Thriller was made up of multiple synths. There's the Jupiter 8, the Prophet 5, and the Synth. And all of those sounds are represented here. So we have the Prophet that has more of like a brass type of sound, and then the Jupiter 8 kind of has a resonant type of sound, juicy resonance to it, and it evolves and it's moving and it sort of blooms towards the end. And then we have the Synth represented as the organ. So you kind of remember that from the Thriller song, it had that organ sound in it. And then also again as a bass sound to give it some bottom end. And so all of those sounds together just kind of make that big, robust, kind of evolving, moving, fat, iconic sound that you heard in Thriller. So let's just solo one of these sounds because we're going to talk about the GUI and all of the different parameters that are available within it. And I'm just going to hide those sounds. All right, so now we're just only hearing the Jupiter 8. And on Iconic, you see we have some of your bread and butter functions here, like your gain control, so you can adjust your volume level, your velocity, how the velocity of your keyboard responds and affects the sound. There's also some portamento options. So without portamento and with portamento, then you have some transpose options for coarse and fine adjustments. There also are your amp options over here, your amp envelope, and then your modulation envelope. So you can adjust those right here on the top of the GUI. It goes deeper on the surface level, so you have clear access to an arpeggiator, and then also some auto pan, stereo doubling. You can kind of see all of the different options available there. On the right side, there's some LFO options there, and then some more kind of time-based effects like chorus, phaser, delay, and reverb. And then right in the middle, we have the Iconic logo. We have a way to view your waveform, and we're going to skip over this and we'll come back to that. And then you have your filter options here at the bottom. So you can adjust your filter, your resonance, and there are 2 filters there. Now in the middle, let's talk about this in the middle. So right here in the middle is what they call the macro effects pad. It's basically an XY pad that has some macro controls. It gives you controls of some of the parameters or multiple parameters all at once. So for instance, here is the stutter macro. If we enable that, that's going to control your LFO rate as well as the cutoff in one of your filters. So here's how that sounds. Okay, so you can alter your sound really easily using this macro effects pad. Here's what Dream sounds like. And you can kind of see the Iconic GUI manipulating some parameters of the auto pan as well as the reverb. And then for space, it's altering or modifying some of the parameters for your chorus and your delay. Here's how that sounds. And then finally, we have grit. So with grit, it's going to be manipulating your phaser, as you can see over here. And then it gives you a bit of drive and bit crushing effect as well. So those are the different macros that are available in the macro effects pad. It would have been cool if you could actually create your own user macro pads. Maybe that's something for EastWest to come out in a future update. I don't know. Okay, so we talked about this sound and how it was a conglomeration basically of different patches available in Iconic. Now you should know that each of the sounds that were recorded in Iconic were recorded directly from the vintage synth that was available from Anthony's library of synths. But they were also recorded and reamped in a way that you can have them, that they were saturated with tape. So you can blend between the direct sound and the tape saturation sound using the modulation wheel on your keyboard. So that gives you further options for being able to manipulate and kind of make your sounds your own and just kind of get that right sound for your record. Okay, so now let's get into making something new with these old school vintage sounds. So I'm thinking of a progression, kind of something like this. So we'll record it and we'll just kind of go from there. So I have a tempo of 95 set and a loop already established. So let's just hit record and go. All right, cool. Nice little groove there. Let's add some drums to it. All right, so I have impact and I have some drum sounds from Splice. And we're going to create a pattern, kind of program from there. I'm thinking something close to 4 on the floor, maybe. I need more steps here. So let's see. Let's do this. Find a snare here. Put those there. It's a little stiff for me, so I want to delay this snare a little bit. So let's gonna delay about maybe 10%. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit. Still a little too stiff, so I'm going to adjust my swing. I usually go for 15%. All right. I want to add a top snare as well. Let's copy this, paste here, and we're going to adjust the delay just a little bit so it kind of slams a little bit. All right, cool. So let's add some hi-hat so we can get a little shaky in there. A little progression and movement. What do I like here? We're gonna hit down with this and increase our velocities. Okay, I'm going to add in between notes and leave those velocities lower than the initial velocities. And what I want to switch this out. Do that. Let me throw a limiter on here just to keep it from peaking. All right, I think we have the start of something good. So I want to layer with another instrument. So let's get another instrument from the Opus EastWest Iconic, my Opus plugin, and drag it there. And I think I want like a Rhodes. So let's just find a Rhodes. Now looking at the browser of Iconic, you'll notice that there are 3 classes of instruments. There's the classic elements, and then beyond Iconic. And the classic is going to be the classic sounds from those pop records that you've heard. If you look at some of the titles, you'll see that they're kind of descriptive as to where they came from or what they were inspired by. So Thrilling Rhodes is going to be the Rhodes used in Thriller, right? We have things like Billy Stack. Obviously, that's going to be Billie Jean, right? And then all sorts of others. Take On You lead, so Take On Me, right? And then in the classic elements, these are going to be kind of the raw sounds from the actual synths that were used, and they're going to be sound exactly like they did coming out of the instrument. So we have like a mini mode drop that was an effect used in Thriller. Falling Star, we have just a suitcase Rhodes with some effects on it. And then we have some synclavier organ sounds. Here's the mini G-Funk lead. You can kind of imagine where that might have come from, some G-Funk mini mode type stuff. And then some ARP, some OBX, all sorts of synths. So those are just the raw, pure sounds coming straight from the vintage synths. And then they have the Beyond Iconic. Beyond Iconic is going to be new presets based off of those classic vintage sounds and just creating new sounds to inspire and be used in your productions. All right, so I want a Rhodes sound, so we're going to go back to the classic and keys, and we're going to use this thrilling Rhodes. So let's hear how that sounds layered with the synth. All right, I love that groove. It's a nice little groove going on there. I think it might be time to add some bottom end, so we're going to add a bass. Again, we're going to go to Opus and find a bass from the Iconic library. Let's see, I am thinking, let's see, what am I thinking? So bass. Let's try this bright bass. Let's see how that fares with the rest of it. All right, I'm feeling some guitar, so let's get some guitar parts in here. Create a new track. All right, dope guitar parts. I just wanted to kind of do like a chord type of thing and then more of a rhythm, single note muted guitar type of thing or whatever. But I love how it's coming out. I think right now all I want to do is maybe just put like a G-Funk type of synth line on top. So let's see what Iconic has. So we're back in the browser. Let's see. Let's look at maybe some of the classic elements and leads. A mini G-Funk lead. That's cool. It's a little too soft for me. Let's see. Here's one. It's kind of funky. Let's load that up. Mini lead 1. That might be it. All right, let's just record an idea. Yeah, I'm really loving that groove right there. I think I'm going to work on it a little more. I kind of hear maybe I want to add some talk box to it and just kind of make it a full production. But I want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Also, thanks to EastWest for making this plugin library. It is really dope. It really has a lot of iconic sounds from the past and a lot of new sounds that are just really inspiring. Don't forget, you can get Iconic in the EastWest Composer Cloud Plus. It's really honestly the best way to get your hands on all of EastWest's entire library of professional sounds. Thanks for watching. As always, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps support the channel and me creating more videos like this. So just keep those 808s booming, and I'll see you all in the next one.